Alrighty, YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. So unfortunately, in the win over the Cardinals, the 49ers did have a couple of injuries worth noting. Obviously, going into this Christmas Day game versus the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I'm going to be listing off a couple, 49ers-related in-game injuries that happened. Brock Purdy was one of them. He had a shoulder stinger. Now, this happened on a play where Cardinals linebacker Dennis Gardeck hit Brock Purdy pretty much in the head completely. It was a dirty-ass hit. Brock remained on the ground. He ended up going to the sideline. Darnold came in for a couple plays. The first play Darnold was in, he completely threw a cross-body throw. That was terrible. But thank God Brock Purdy came back in the game. I figured when it initially happened that it was maybe a potential concussion. But obviously that didn't come to fruition. It was just a shoulder stinger. Purdy mentioned after the game that he had never suffered a stinger before and that he was talking with Debo and some of the guys that have obviously suffered stingers in the past. And Purdy eventually knew after talking with Debo and some of the guys that it definitely was a stinger. And he said that as time went on, the stinger just completely went away, hence to why he returned to the game. But yeah, he was examined, in the medical tent. Sam Darnold takes a couple snaps. Purdy returns to the game and continues his terror of the MVP race. So thank God nothing too severe from Brock Purdy. He's going to be fine. Again, it was just a stinger. Now here's another notable injury. Kalia Davis. Kalia Davis has been filling in at defensive tackle, especially with Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead being out for the game. Now in the third quarter, it was announced that Kalia Davis had been ruled out for the game after sustaining a ankle injury. Don't really know the severity of that. Nothing has really came out. Kyle hasn't said anything about it. But obviously the hope is that he can be fine. Now, going into the Baltimore game, it shouldn't matter because the Niners should obviously have Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave back, bearing any setbacks, of course. We will need them against Baltimore. Baltimore is a very, very talented team. That's going to be the hardest opponent we're going to be playing, for the remainder of the season. Arguably one of the top 3 hardest opponents we've probably faced all season. You could easily put them as the best team we've played all season. So we're definitely going to need, everybody healthy and ready to go in the Baltimore game. But obviously, if Armstead or Hargrave suffer setbacks and they're not available for Baltimore, hopefully Kalia Davis will be able to come back and play. Again, don't know the severity of it. Kyle Shanahan, I'm sure, will give an update for that soon or at some point today, I would imagine. So yeah, Kalia Davis, ankle injury. He left the game. Don't know the severity. We'll see what happens with that. I'll keep you guys updated. And then I mentioned this one after the game as well. Deommodore Lenoir, I couldn't remember if it was a hamstring injury. I couldn't really remember what he suffered. I just remember him being ruled out for the game. Deommodore Lenoir suffered a rib injury in the fourth quarter that eventually put him out for the remainder of the game. Now, this may not be serious. The Niners in the fourth quarter were up big, and they eventually pulled all the starters. That could have been a reason why Deommodore Lenoir didn't return, or maybe the rib injury is a little more serious than I guess the initial thought is. Hopefully, again, he's ready to go against Baltimore as well. We're already pretty thin at corner. I'd imagine if Deommodore Lenoir doesn't play, though, Jason Verrett could very well be elevated from the practice squad to the active roster, and he could potentially play against the Baltimore Ravens. But, again, we'll see what happens. We don't know any severity of these two injuries with Kalia Davis and Deommodore Lenoir, but hopefully everything's good with that. Hopefully that they are available to play against Baltimore. But again, Kyle Shanahan hasn't spoken on any of these injuries yet, other than, after the game, but he didn't really have too much clarity on any of these injuries. So again, I would imagine Kyle Shanahan comes on at some point today, talks to the media, and gives better updates on these injuries. But I'd imagine Deommodore Lenoir's injuries probably day-to-day. That's the hope, of course. It seems like it's day-to-day. It didn't seem too serious, but again, when Christian McCaffrey was hurt against the Cleveland Browns, his injury didn't seem too serious either. but it ended up being an oblique injury, which it really wasn't that serious because obviously he ended up playing the week after. But obviously, I don't like labeling these injuries as not serious when I really don't know the extent of them. I'm just saying that from the eye test, it didn't seem too bad. But again, we'll see what Kyle Shanahan tells reporters and gives updates on. But again, the hope is that these guys are able to play Christmas Day against Baltimore, because again, we're going to need as many reinforcements as we can possibly have, especially against a quarterback like Lamar Jackson that can kill you with his feet. And yesterday, something that the 49ers have struggled on the past couple of weeks has been the run game. They didn't really play too well against the run last week or last night against the Arizona Cardinals. Fred Warner even mentioned after the game that they're going to have to fix some things, make adjustments, especially with a team like Baltimore who loves to run the football and they do it at a high level. So I'd imagine there's some adjustments to be made there with Baltimore coming to town. But as long as we can shut down Lamar's legs or at least limit him, the Ravens won't win that game. They don't have a great passing game. Lamar Jackson's not the best passer of the football. He throws a lot of interceptions. He's actually did okay when it comes to interceptions this season. I believe he only has 7, which is tied with Brock Purdy. But everybody out there knows just as well as I do that Lamar's a great quarterback because of his legs. He has, and I will give Lamar credit on this as well, he has improved on the passing game. And I don't think Lamar is a finished product when it comes to the pass. I think he's improving year in and year out. But if we can overwhelm Lamar Jackson, that can cause turnovers. Everybody knows that. But again, like we seen last night, I don't know if you guys watched the game, but Jacksonville was getting to Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson was doing what Lamar Jackson does, scrambling out of the pocket, somehow getting out of sacks. That can't happen Christmas Day. Like, the Niners have to be on their A game. They have to get to Lamar. They have to get to him and tackle him. Don't let him escape, because that's when big chunk plays start happening, when Lamar is able to get out of the pocket. One of the keys going into the game is going to be like it was with Kyler Murray last night, and that's keeping Lamar Jackson in the pocket and not letting him, get outside and make something out of nothing. So, obviously we'll be talking about the game and the preview video going into that game later on in this week. But, so that's all the injury updates as of now. It seems like Charvarius Ward didn't suffer any setback with his groin injury. It seems like Dre Greenlaw came out of the game pretty healthy, so that's very, very good. I was worried about Dre Greenlaw because that guy plays at... He's so freakish when he plays, and he hits so hard that sometimes he injures himself in the process of making tackles and things of that nature. But again, going into the game, him and Ward were both questionable. They both suited up. They both had great games, especially Charvarius Ward. So I'm glad that there was no setbacks with them guys. Those guys will be healthy and ready to go against Baltimore. But we'll have to see what happens with Kalia Davis, Javon Hargrave, Eric Armstead, and Diamador Lenore going into this game. But again, like I said, I expect Armstead, Hargrave, all them guys should be ready to go. Obviously, that's the hope, bearing any setback. But I'll be giving you guys updates on Ward and Kalia Davis. Or not Ward, sorry. Diamador Lenore and Kalia Davis within the next couple days. Again, we'll just have to wait on what Kyle says to the media when giving his updates. But, yeah, as always, go Niners. Again, huge win, man. Great win. We played great football. And it definitely wasn't our best game because, again, the defense struggled against the run. And, again, that's something that we're going to have to kind of, adjust going into Baltimore with them, loving to run the football. But with Keaton Mitchell out, that guy has been explosive this year. Keaton Mitchell's been a hell of a player, but unfortunately last night he suffered that torn ACL. So I would imagine Gus Edwards will be their lead back going into San Francisco. So, just because Baltimore's got all these injuries does not mean this is a lock to win. This is going to be a very tough game. Again, the Niners, historically have always struggled against quarterbacks that can get outside the pocket and run. I feel like Steve Wilkes has been better at doing that. He definitely struggled at first yesterday when it came to, keeping Kyler Murray in the pocket. But, this upcoming game is a game that, the Niners are going to have to come into with a game plan ready to, go all out against Lamar Jackson, keeping him in the pocket and things of that nature, because the 49ers will struggle big time Christmas Day if they can't, limit Lamar Jackson's run game. So, again, I'm going to be, obviously going over all the keys to win and what the Niners need to do to win the game going into Sunday, but that'll be later on in the week. But for now, let's enjoy the win over Arizona. Let's not get too on our high horse, though. We got a tough team coming up, in Baltimore. Or with Baltimore. It's in San Francisco, but with Baltimore. So one game at a time. A big win over the Cardinals, of course. We're officially NFC West champions. But again, like I said in the previous video, that's not what we set out to do. There's, I don't care about an NFC championship trophy. I don't care about the NFC West, being clinched by the Niners. That's not what we came into this season needing and wanting to do. There's bigger things that the Niners need to get done. And again, there's no other better year to do this in recent memory than it is this year for the Niners to go out there and win it all. So this Baltimore game could very well be a Super Bowl preview matchup. This could very well be the two teams in the Super Bowl this year. Baltimore's, again, they're the number one seed in the AFC. They're playing at a high level with or without their injuries. So it's going to be a tough game. But again, I'll be talking more on that game going into Sunday. But for now, enjoy the NFC West. The Niners really should already be moved on to Baltimore. Forget about the NFC West, being won by the Niners. That was expected, right? Like, we're set out to do better and bigger things this year, and the job's not finished. So again, could very well be a Super Bowl matchup this week. It's going to be a hell of a game. I can't wait. It's Christmas night. It's going to be awesome as well. So, as always, go Niners. Hopefully, all these guys can get back healthy and ready to go for Baltimore. But again, I'll keep you guys updated on these injuries. But, as always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.